Hello YouTube, my name is Paul Kroon and I'm gonna be your host today. And today I'm gonna make a short video on how to connect PowerApps through Flow with a SQL Server. I did a long tutorial, but this is gonna be basically a very short video where I would think you know enough about SQL to do this. So let's go to our screen and let's start. So the first step is to prepare our SQL Server. So let's go to our database, and here you see, let's take the customer. We have a customer table, and if we select rows, we see we have some data. Now what I do next is to build a view on the same data. And why do I build a view? Because then I can add information to the normal information in my customer. And also for an employee, you can set the front and last name in a column, so you have the display name. So you can manipulate your data. And after that, I'm gonna build a stored procedure. And let's modify this. And we have a stored procedure. We do the select statement where this is active. And of course, we can put parameters here and call that from PowerApps. And I will show you in the next video when we do inserts and updates. But basically this gonna give all the records back which are active. And that's about the first step we have to do for preparation of the SQL Server. Then the second step is to build our flow. So let's now go to PowerApps, and here I have a nice loading screen for my template, and I have an admin button, and here I have my triggers. And why I use triggers? Now because then I have my formula centralized. Everything I do, I have centralized in my app. And if you want to know how to build this, look at my other videos, because I have made a video about this. So here we're gonna take a new trigger, and it's triggered by changing a global variable. And I will do this later on by the onStart parameter. And here we go to the onChange. So every time this change, this trigger, our code is gonna run, and then we're gonna go to actions, to flow, and we basically gonna create a new flow. And flow will start with the Power App trigger button in there. Then we are gonna add a new step. We're gonna choose SQL Server, and you see a whole list what you can do with SQL, but I don't care about anything except for the stored procedure, because I only use this one. And because I like just to call a stored procedure and let the SQL Server do its thing. It's gonna be much faster and much more efficient than doing all the other tricks, in my opinion. So now I have a data source. Let's pick the right one. And let's say we want to have the customer. Back to PowerApps. Now we don't have parameters. So normally when we have parameters here, it's gonna be a list. And we just connect them to or PowerApps, but we're gonna do that in the next video, so you will see. Then we have a request. Let's put it in and see if we have our table. We have our table, and now we have to have our schema. So let's save this, but not before we say we want to. I give it always a number for my let's say sample app, because I have all my flows and I have basically more than one application. So I want to have a letter to know, okay, all the S's are for this sample demo app. So now I'm gonna save it. Let's do a test. I'll perform the trigger and save test. And now it's gonna call the SQL Server. We have to check this, if this is right. This is not, so we have to change it to the right one. Just look at this, because else you're gonna have a fault. And we're done. Now we have PowerApps, no input parameters, and we have the input for the procedure name, and we have a output line. So let's grab this one and say we want to edit this and go to our response, use a simple generated file and do an enter. And what we have to check is where there are nulls, because when we have a null, the JSON schema isn't setting a parameter like string or number or one of the other parameters, and we should have that, because else PowerApps and Flow don't know which information to give back. So the customer group name is a string, so put in to exclamation mark. When it's a number, you just put in 0 and then the number is okay. So now I made it a string. See if there are more nulls. No, they aren't, and I can say done. And then I have my schema. Just check if all the types are set, and they are, and then save your flow. And that's it. So now we build our flow, and now we have to connect it to PowerApps. So let's go to PowerApps here and look in our list of flows. And that's why I put in a first letter, because you can search this. So basically, I think this is an idea for the flow department or for PowerApps to be able to filter all the flows you have. And I think at big companies or in big applications, you have a lot of flows running left. Now you see run the flow, we don't have parameters, so now the flow is run. But what we can do is just say clear collect sample accounts, let's say sample accounts, and now we are able to collect our customers in a sample account collection. So let's run this, wait 1 second and see if the collections have records. And this is the case. So what I do next is say the advanced and say just cat. I do cat in post, and let's call it accounts, simple accounts. And I set the same for the true text. And now I want to run this at the start of our application. So go to the onStart parameter and just add here set E3 to the opposite of E3. So now when our app starts, this trigger is going to be run and our sample accounts will be pulled in PowerApps, and this can be a number of 10, 20,000 accounts you can bring in. It's gonna take a few seconds then, but you don't have the limitation of the 2000 records you normally have when connecting directly to a data source. Okay, this was the short tutorial about how to do this, and I hope you like this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.